Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day of Live at the Waterhole. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and I will be the voice that you'll be hearing for the next couple of hours. I'm so excited to be here today because I just cannot get enough of safaris, whether it's in a vehicle like I was this morning or hosting the Waterhole show. But for those of you that haven't joined us before and this is your first time, please let me know and how you can do. Ooh, the wind is quite strong. How you can do that is you can either hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, you can comment on the YouTube chat, or even better by heading over to the WildEarth website and using the question tab there. So I will wait just a couple of moments and hopefully a few of you will jump on board and say hello and maybe tell me what you're hoping to see. But right now we're watching two elephant bulls have a tussle at Jamala in Madikwe Game Reserve. There we go. Jenny, you're the first one. You've said double whammy, sunrise and live at the Waterhole. You love it. Thank you. And guess what? It's actually going to be a triple threat because I'll be on the sunset safari too. Uh, Someone said to me that I obviously enjoy working. Well, it's Christmas time and lots of presents to buy. No, I'm just teasing. For my dog. Obviously, lots of presents to buy for my dog, so you can understand. Those of you who have pets know how expensive they are. So my dog slave drives me, basically. Just joking. This is definitely not slave driving work. Sitting and surrounding myself with wildlife all the time. I mean, I'm glancing here at these two elephant bulls, and then I just look to my right, and I'm outside, and there's a couple of dwarf mongoose running around. So I can't get away, and I cannot get enough of wildlife. Right, but we had some rain in the low veldt today. It doesn't look like rain at Madikwe, but let's go and check out what the weather is like in the rest of the country. Well, it looks like Camphor Dam is the hottest of the lot. Maybe we'll pop past and see flamingos a little bit later. But right now we're going to stick with these elephant bulls and see what they're really going to get up to. So they've been pushing and shoving one another a fair amount. And you can see how they size one another up. They stand up tall. They open their ears out wide. And I'm sure you heard the clash of the tusk. Benji said another day, another adventure at the Waterhole. That's a great way to describe it. I think it's going to be a good day with it being quite warm all round. There's a few other elephants scattered around in the distance, but no breeding herds coming down to have a drink just yet. And I'm just having a quick look on the YouTube chat too, because this is the only one I really have access to. There's a few of you that jumped on. Chappie, you've jumped on. Elana, you're here too. Wally, welcome. And Stephen Rousseau. Hello, hello to all of you. Looking forward to any conversation starters today. It was really nice to watch the elephants here, but because it's been quite quiet on the elephant front at Juma Private Game Reserve. I saw an elephant bull yesterday, just briefly. He got quite the fright actually when I came around the corner. I wasn't very close to him though, and he knew I was coming. The hearing is spectacular, yet he still jumped and ducked into the bushes. And then when I'd stopped the car, he went, "Oh, okay," and then came back out again. And I thought, my goodness, and he was a big bull too, not a youngster. And then I had a small breeding herd. When was it? Must have been yesterday morning as well. Otherwise, I haven't seen very many Eddies at all. Alana, you said that you feel like you spend all your money on your pets, so you get me. Yep, right. What is it with vet bills? It's also like animals know. Oh, it's been a tough month for you. Guess who needs to go to the vet? No, I'm just teasing. I really do think that they plan it on purpose, though, sometimes. I promise I do look after my dog, though. Um, okay, Bulls, where you going? This bull on the right, I'm just watching him. He looks like he's trying to get away now from the bull behind him. Look how he's lifted his head up. His ears are flared and his pace picked up quite a bit. And he keeps turning to his side as almost if he's looking over his shoulder. See that? Now he's going to turn and face him. He's just saying, "Leave me alone. I don't want to engage in this battle. I just want to go on with my day." But the one on the right's being quite pushy and clearly wanting to prove a point. Well, let's see what happens with the giraffe. If he's going to bear the brunt of it, kick him. Just kick out at the elephants. I'm just joking. I never wish war upon wildlife. But you can see he got out of the way quite quickly. He knows what elephants are like and how they behave. Well, the bull on the right's just made it more difficult for himself. Look, he's got a log between his legs now. That's not going to help. If I were the elephant on the left, I'd definitely start pushing about and make him try and lose balance just to teach him a lesson. If you can't beat him in stature and size, then play smart. It's not like he didn't put himself in that position. There, so you can see he's going to try and move away again. Shame, he just wants to have a drink. Splash himself with water. There's just no peace at the Waterhole today. Immediately turning to face his opponent. Big stride. Bye-bye. Oh, I'm so sorry that he doesn't want you here. You see, this is what happens. But these are young bulls. They're not the oldest of old bulls. There's no need for them to behave like this, right, at a waterhole. But they can't help themselves sometimes. There's always one with a bee in its bonnet. Now we'll see. You see the one on the left has gained a bit of confidence because there's a slight incline. And now maybe he felt he was a couple of inches taller and thought he'd just show him what the other bull was made of. Yes, exactly. Glenn, play smart, not hard. I completely agree. Always got to have some sneaky tactics up your sleeve.
Fancy playing Safari Snaps? or showing off your photo skills in fun competitions? How about sneak peeks of our brand new camera spots and live chats with fellow Africam fans? Well, Africam All Access has got your back. Just head to Africam's YouTube channel, hit the join button, and select Africam All Access. You'll unlock Africam premium website perks and all the VIP benefits of our YouTube memberships.
Gosh, these boys are still at it. I don't think that they're going to stop. Yesterday it was interesting because around Jamala we had a very similar experience. Those of you that watched, you might have remembered. There was one bull that was sort of, and I should have taken note of some identifying features, but honestly, I don't know if it's the same bull that's going on and on, or it could quite likely be another individual. There must be some serious pent up frustrations that they're trying to deal with. And of course, who better than to take it out on one another? Stephen, I see there's a question for you from you, and you said you've always heard as a child that elephants and rhinos had poor eyesight. Is that true? So it's actually not. Elephants have got decent eyesight. Obviously, their sense of smell and their hearing is far more acute. However, they are able to, I suppose, see in a very similar, maybe a similar way to how, oof, not so much how we would see, but I mean, I'm just thinking even from walking experiences when I've had the wind in my favor and I've been out in the open and elephants have spotted me from ages away and I wasn't particularly trying to conceal myself. And then new studies have come out about rhinos and Jamie was actually talking about this. So perhaps she can elaborate a little bit this afternoon on the sunset safari. And she was telling me about rhino eyesight. She couldn't quite remember what the article said, but she has they've described it to be similar to cats. Not quite, but similar. So there's just been this misconception about rhinos too that their eyesight is so poor. But I'll mention it to her. So make sure, Stephen, you watch the Sunset Safari this afternoon, and hopefully we can find a couple of rhinos. I had two yesterday, which was great, and can carry on that conversation. Clarice, you've said, would elephants go into the water even on super cold days? Yes, absolutely. So I'll tell you a story. At Pridelands, which is a location where eco training, as just one of WildEarth's partners, has a camp, and there's the dam that's right there is called Ndlovu Dam. And even in the middle of winter, when it was just a couple of degrees Celsius, the elephants would go in and swim. But it doesn't happen all the time. Elephants predominantly go into the water and cover themselves with water to cool down. However, you cannot tell me that elephants are not having fun and playing and enjoying themselves. So I've seen them swimming in all seasons and in all kinds of temperatures. They've also got thick skin, so they won't necessarily be as susceptible to the cold water as you and I. We'll dip our toe in and turn around and run a mile away, and an elephant will go thank you and run and jump in it. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean. Billy Joe, you've said, how good is an elephant's balance? That's a great question. We look at them and just by looking at the appearance and the build of their bodies, you think, okay, they've got these big legs, these big bodies, and well, when they're mature, rather large heads, but they look quite awkward. You think they can't climb. But elephants are phenomenal at climbing, so they can go up steep mountains and rocky ridges, absolutely no problem. They can even go back down those rocky ridges. And it's great to see how they do it. You'll see that they'll try and put more of the weight in their back legs. And again, at Pridelands, it's such a great place to view elephants at Ndlovu Dam. The one side, the northern side of the dam and on the dam wall basically is quite steep and it's consistently being eroded away. And I've demonstrated a couple of times when I've been on bushwalk for eco training, but on the Wild Earth show, where I've tried to navigate up and down those steep embankments that the elephants seem to do with ease. And I've struggled and I've tripped and I've fallen. And I know I fall a lot, but surprisingly, I am quite athletic and nimble. And I don't know how they do it. It's unbelievable. So, you know that whole saying, never judge a book by its cover? Even though elephants don't look like they're great athletes or able to clamber over things, they really are capable. Rhinos, too. Rhinos walking down a steep hill is interesting. They do a slightly different technique because they don't have much control of, being able to distribute their weight. They'll zigzag down, which is smart. I mean, it's a technique that we as people do too. If something is too steep, you just zigzag. And that's what rhinos do. And Kariga Game Reserve is a place that I've actually only ever seen that because it's quite a mountainous area. It's not too far away from Amakala. And I've watched multiple times rhinos walking down the steep pathways on the cliffs and hills and things like that, and they do that, which is quite cool. Sorry, the camera has a mind of its own every now and then. Just off the topic of elephants, Catherine, you said that you hope that we get to see dragonflies and birds. Absolutely. We'll visit some of the other waterholes a little bit later and continue our search for new birds. Catherine, did you see the pin-tailed wider that I spotted at Tau Lodge, which is just north and to the west of where this waterhole is? It was very short because it was just as I was about to hand over to Amy. So that was a nice one to add to the list. It was a male in his breeding plumage. It's rather peaceful at the waterhole today. It's not windy at all in Madikwe. And because it's quite warm, I hope that we do get more animals coming down to drink. Aaron Trollope, you said, why do they flap their ears so often? Sorry, my bad, I can't read all of a sudden. So they do it for a number of different reasons. So the most common reason as to why elephants flap their ears is to help them cool down. I always like to describe it as sort of almost like a radiator, right? So there's lots of veins and blood vessels in the backs of their ears. The skin is very thin there in comparison to the rest of their body. So as they flap their ears, they generate movement of the air. The air is cooler, therefore it cools down the bloodstream directly, so that blood will move through the brain and cool it down that way. So that's one thing. But they also flap their ears because bugs can be quite annoying, and you'll see it doing it specifically when they bother them around their eyes, which the insects do quite often. And then elephants will flap their ears or put their ears out straight when they are threatened or anxious or feeling anxious and frustrated and angry. But not every time an elephant flaps its ears, it doesn't mean that the animal is angry. A lot of people make this um, assumption, but that's not the case. So just remember, it could be for a number of different reasons. You'll know when an elephant is not happy with you. They don't hide it. I suppose bulls and sometimes cows can be quite cheeky, and they pretend that they're doing something else, and then surprise, we weren't happy with you the entire time. You've just missed all these subtle behaviors. But always a bit tricky to show you those behaviors uh, unless they happen right there and you happen to be, zoomed in or whatever the case may be.
Our UK family is important to us. WildEarth is making your viewing experience more convenient with a time shift that will see a delayed start. Our sunrise safari will now be broadcast at UK sunrise times. Don't miss a moment of your favorite shows. To watch it live, go to the WildEarth app or website.
Incredible.
WildEarth, connecting you to nature.
I'm sure you've noticed we've turned the ambient sound down. It's just there seems to be some construction going on at the lodge. This is typically ongoing at lodges, although an angle grinder during the middle of the day, I think that's what it is, or a saw is not really the nicest thing. So apologies for that, but that is out of our control. And Catherine, you said that the elephants don't seem to be bothered by the construction. They're not. They're so used to, you know, the lodges making noise, whether it's people or plates clanging or things dropping, like you name it. So they do become, I suppose, desensitized to those noises that would maybe have once made them turn and run in the opposite direction. But the construction, like I said, it's ongoing maintenance that the lodges have to endure. And if animals want to come down and have a drink, they've got to put their fear of sounds aside and come down. Just look at that buffalo. Let's have a closer look at the buffalo on the right hand side because that's quite entertaining. He wasted no time and plopped on in. I would prefer to stay here. We might even just turn the ambient sound down completely, as there's only really Springbok at Okukuyo, but we spent so much time there yesterday. I'd like to try and stick away from there unless something exhilarating happens. Hello, buffalo, big bull, and Egyptian geese. Can we have an even closer look? Sorry, I like to view things nice and close. I Otherwise we can't see much detail. There we go. Oh, he looks like a big boy. Pure muscle. If only he was facing us the other way. He's already caked in mud, but they do this every single day. So I'm sure he's enjoying a bit of a break from just the mud itself and just sitting in a pool of water. No oxpeckers attached to this individual this time round. That's normally a given when buffaloes go everywhere. Anyway, sorry, there's oxpeckers about. Ah, Ryan Devon boy, you said what a pick me up. You said that this channel is from far from dull. I'm assuming is what. Oh no, I can't read. Ryan Devon, I think I need it. Let me go back to bed quickly, and then I'll just give me 10 seconds, and then I will get out of bed and try this all again because this is all I've done the whole day. I've stumbled on my words. Anyways, you said what a pick me up. This channel is from a dull, wet UK winter. I don't blame you. I bet you wish you were lying next to the buffalo. He looks quite funny though with the mud that's caked on his body. It looks like he's about to shed all his skin. Obviously, that's not quite how it works. Oh, are you trying to roll, boy? You might have to give it another bash. It's nice that the rain has topped this waterhole up. He can just lie fully submerged. I'd most likely go closer to the edge though, and then lean back into it so I could have a siesta and not necessarily worry about drowning while I sleep. And then, Aaron, you've asked if there are any kingfishers here. There most certainly will be. This waterhole is a tricky one, though. I don't know how many fish and other aquatic species live here. I'm sure that there's a substantial amount, though. With kingfishers, especially those that like open water. So you'll find pied kingfishers could predominantly spend a lot of time around here, maybe even giant kingfishers. But for the most part, the pied kingfishers like water that we're seeing at the moment. But the problem is there are not very many perches. So kingfishers need somewhere to perch. Some of them are more secretive. Some of them prefer fast-flowing water. It just depends on the species. So it's not to say that we can't see them here, but oh my goodness, we might have a better chance of seeing them in other locations. That's not an oxpecker. That makes me very sad to see this bird. This looks like an common or Indian myna. Why are you here? Get off the buffalo and go home. These birds are not indigenous to Africa. Well, sorry, not to Africa, but in South Africa, there were accidentally, there was a small population that was released, and now they've just taken over. I don't know if they've become naturalized now, as they've found their ways in all sorts of uh, biomes and I suppose provinces across the country. The reason why I say that they're a problem is because they're out competing and displacing a lot of the indigenous species of birds, and that's problematic on its own. I'm not sure if there is much being done to try and limit the populations, if there's some kind of eradication program. And I know a few of you might be saying, no, but shame. And it is sad, right? Nobody wants to, well, I definitely don't want to kill anything if I absolutely don't have to. But it's tough for all the other birds, to carry on with their lives. Look at him. He really looks like he's got scales on him. He is huge. I would not like to come face to face with this buffalo bull. Catherine, you're wondering why do animals get so much muscle by only eating plants and not exercising? So, so I know only eating plants sounds like you're not going to get much nutrition, right? Well, obviously, we know this has been disproven. However, these animals can only eat plants, and they specifically are bulk grazers, but buffalo do browse as well. And they are able to turn and absorb, or able to absorb all the minerals from the plant species, different grasses and different trees, different flowers and fruits. They're all going to have uh, a different or higher or lower nutritional value. So they'll eat a number of different things, and they're able to get enough of the protein from the plants to be able to do this. But I know that we say that they're not exercising, but actually they're constantly on the move all the time. And it's very rare that you see a fat animal. Can we call it that? I suppose when we look at buffalo, for an example, they always look like they've got a really round midsection, and they do fill up quite nicely, but this is what they're supposed to look like. Buffalo are not necessarily lean racing snakes like something of an impala. They are more heavy set. They're strong. They're like tanks. A quick story with you though. Look at this buffalo who's really enjoying that scratch. So Mel is directing today, and it's really difficult to control the cameras, and she's doing an amazing job. But sometimes they have a mind of their own, like really they do. And Mel's just said, she goes, "I'm so sorry." She's apologizing for the controls, and it's really not a problem. She goes, "It's a malfunction." I thought that was quite funny. I just had to share that with you. Oh, buffalo bull. This log is just absolutely perfect. I mean, the elephants scratch on it all the time, the warthogs, and it's perfect height for the buffalo to scratch right underneath their tail, where there's plenty of ticks that get stuck. And he's getting in and around his horns, which is also an itchy place. I reckon if buffalo had scratching posts all the time, or just had somebody scratching them, they'd probably be less grumpy. I say this. Buffalo are not grumpy all the time. They're just misunderstood. And when you live by yourself after living with, a big herd of animals for long periods of time, you have your wits about you. Gosh, he's just enormous. It's like he doesn't even have a neck. And that's just pure muscle. There we go. He's got the log right between his legs. Sorry for the picture break up there. I hope it's just on my side. If it isn't, apologies. Otherwise, you can just ignore what I said. Oh, and if you've ever been on safari before, you would have seen how many ticks are gathered between the back legs of a buffalo, under the tail, and of course near those more sensitive bits too. I didn't realize how perfect this was. That obviously feels so good. Did you enjoy that? No, come back for more. Also just goes to show how heavy this tree once was. I wonder if it was a leadwood or something. As he's rubbing against it, it doesn't look like it's moving that much. And a big buffalo bull like this individual can weigh up to about 800 kilograms. I love the way he tilts his head back. If only he knew he was being watched. Although he probably wouldn't care. He'd carry on doing the same thing. Theo, you said, oh my goodness, he's really getting in there. And Susie, you said that this is pure joy. It absolutely is. So you can see they're not unhappy all the time. And he's going exactly for those hard to reach places. Now, this is where I would love to be here. And that when this buffalo moves off, if it was safe to actually go out and have a look at this log. And I wonder how many dead ticks or squashed ticks might be on this log. I reckon there'd be plenty. And you didn't have a mud wallow, you just wanted to have a bit of a bath. That's also fine, and of course, defecate, why not? You also you start to see the consistency of dung changing, and with the buffalo during rainy seasons, there's a lot more water, moisture in their diet, so the stool becomes loose. And then in winter, it's still loose, but it's not as viscous as it is during summer. And there's a pied crow just marching about at the bottom. Bye bye, boy. You gonna go sleep under one of those shady trees, or you gonna scratch on the next stump? No. Going past the stump. Now he's right underneath the tree. It's got covered with thorns, but it's not something he has to worry about because it's really got thick skin.
For those in the wet and cold this festive season, transport yourself to a warm and sunny Africa. With virtual safaris in real time. Interact with African naturalists, connect with fellow nature lovers across the globe, fall in love with nature, and join the WildEarth family this festive season. WildEarth, connecting you to nature.
Wildlife, wildlife, where are you? Let's scan around a little bit. I see the Egyptian geese, but let's see what's going on the left-hand side of the waterhole. Jenna from the UK, you've said other than food for birds, are ticks good for any other reasons? Well, I suppose ticks are also good at controlling population numbers. And I say this is when animals have a compromised immune system and there are an abundance of, say, ticks on them, that's definitely going to take a knock on an already sick animal. And obviously, we know it's important that only the fittest and the strongest survive. So perhaps we can say that ticks are important for that role. Imagine if every single animal lived, and even if we just take predation out of it, there were no sick animals. There was just nothing. There'd be a overpopulation. So having creatures that can transmit diseases is not always a bad thing. Of course, everything. Oh my goodness, I turned Jamaican for a second. Everything needs to be in proportion, though. Otherwise, I'm just trying to think what else ticks could be good for. But they're food for many different animal species, not even just birds. I mean, quite often we see the terrapins pulling ticks off of a buffalo that's submerged itself. I've seen other reptiles like lizards and things also feasting upon ticks. And with the oxpeckers, they're not actually eating the tick itself, they're going for the blood. So oxpeckers are like vampire birds, if you will. That's why we see them opening up scabs on animals too. So they don't necessarily just feed on ticks, anything where there's a high content of blood. It's gone very quiet. And it sounds like all the other cameras are quiet too. I'm wondering if we should maybe try and go across to Juma and have a look. The reason why I say that is it looks like the sun is trying to come out. I'm just going to let Mel. She might have to upload the camera, so we'll give it a minute or so, and maybe we can try and find some birds. Right, everything is ready and sorted, so off to Juma we go. Here we go. And now we won't have any construction sounds either. Quite a few creatures calling. Can hear lots of insects. Hear kingfishers, rattling testiculars. Egyptian geese are chasing one another. So we'll probably have a scan around here and maybe zoom into some places and see who knows if perhaps the juvenile fish eagle that's been hanging about is around. We'll just give it a couple of moments just to see if we can find anything. So if you spot something, let us know. You know how. Can you have plenty of birds, the woodland kingfisher. Sounds like some arrowmarked babblers too. A ringneck dove, and of course a pair of Egyptian geese on the move grazing. They'll be very happy at the moment that they don't have to move too far away from the water to find suitable grazing. I wonder where the Egyptian geese goslings went. We had a brief discussion. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. Time flies, and all the shows merge into one. So I find it difficult to differentiate between them. But there were goslings at one point, and I thought maybe the juvenile fish eagle or any of the fish eagles that we see frequenting this dam could have had something to do with it. Some of them might have just also just died. That happens. Or a leopard could have snatched them up. I've seen African wildcats around this waterhole. I mean, there's just a whole host of predators. Never forget monitors, baboons, snakes. They can all pose a threat to goslings. We're just scanning again, waiting to see. Haven't spotted much just yet. Also, it just goes to show how secluded the WildEarth camp is, because it looks pretty windy out there. And our rooms are just at the base of the drainage line, actually quite far to the left of where the camera is panning now, around the other side. And there's not that much wind outside. We're also tucked in between massive tambuti trees. It's really pretty. This drainage network that runs around Gari Dam is spectacular. Did you see the red-billed buffalo weaver that just flew across the screen? There is a big nest just above where the camera is, right at the top of the tree. So we see plenty of red-billed buffalo weavers around here. They love to build their nests right up on top of big trees and also around water holes. And it's consistent work. They never stop. Even when they aren't breeding, they are always out repairing the nest, because they're communal nesters. And then it's a tough job. Imagine going back and forth, bringing sticks, placing them in the right spot, but then also needing to feed to keep your energy levels up, because bringing back sticks all the time is going to use and will burn a lot of calories. Look at those big clouds, though, moving in. I'll let you know if it's going to bring rain. Looks like it might. We've had a few of those. And this is all coming from the east. I wonder what's going on in the Indian Ocean. Maybe there's a cell or something that's building up. Normally we get a lot of the weather from Mozambique, so and at this time of the year they can have cyclones. I haven't seen any cyclone warnings though, and then we'll get the tail end of it. Not that I think that this is what it is, because it clears after today, but Tuesday for now is showing that we might have some big rain. I think what we'll do is we'll leave it set up like this and we'll just watch the weather roll in. I'm looking at these clouds with these really dark bases. It could bring about rain. You're going to see in a moment. Gosh, but they're moving in so quickly. I ended up getting stuck on the dam wall. You might be able to see the big jackalberry just off to the left, the tallest of the trees with the greenest canopy. And I was hiding underneath there and trying to stop getting soaked by the rain. And then also with the wind, it was blowing it straight into the vehicle. So thankfully that tree is there because it's about the 10th time that it has saved me from being completely drenched. Julia, you said, shoo, those clouds look ominous. They absolutely do. Doesn't look like it's raining though. I'm looking outside, and in fact, I can see the sun creeping through the clouds. It's going to have to hit me shortly though, because we're not very far away. I'll let you know when that cloud embankment arrives, unless the wind changes of direction and it blows it past me. And then HMLOL, you've said double deluxe time. You said now that I'm also live at the Waterholes, and you're loving it. A pleasure. I'm glad. I just wish the wildlife would come around. It's been incredibly frustrating, especially on the live safaris. I can deal with the waterholes being a little bit on the quiet side, but come on, what on earth is going on? I mean, my saving grace this morning was the predatory ground beetles that we literally had in the last 2 minutes of the show. Otherwise, it was dismal. And I was quite sad by it. Look at how it's just changed. Sun completely gone, gloomy. I can't believe that these clouds are not bringing rain. They're so low. See, this is a game where I wish I could just pull out my phone and show you exactly what the weather is like. And I'm like, where is it going? Maybe it's actually heading a little bit further west rather than northwest. I'm stepping outside. Please excuse me. I have to see now. Never mind, it's here. I took 4 steps outside and I looked up and I went, oh, so north of where I am, the clouds are, I suppose it's partly cloudy really, and there's gaps of sunshine. And I was like, but why is it so bright? But it makes a lot of sense. That big black cloud is directly over the top of us now. No rain yet. And then Jenny, you said, can I smell when the rain is on its way? Absolutely. You get that very earthy smell called petrichor. So that's normally a great indication that the rain is on its way. I can't smell it just yet, though. Obviously, now I'm doing obnoxiously loud dress to smell it. I think nothing just yet. Oh gosh, it's like we've been teleported off to a different location. There comes the rain. Okay, what's the time? 12:40. I'm going to let you know when it starts raining above me because I'm definitely going to get it. It did rain a bit just before the show started. Oh my gosh, listen to that. The boys are back. It seems like we're only allowed to view 2 elephants at a time today. Isn't that ridiculous? Come on, give us a bit more. We've been patient. Now, Jenny, I can smell the petrichor if you're still watching. Now it is, oh, it's so nice. You might even be able to hear the rain because I have my door open, because who wants to have their doors closed unless it's freezing cold or really windy or stinking hot? You can't ever please me. Have you noticed? Oh, this is awesome. I just hope it stops for the sunset safari. I'd like to not get damp this afternoon. In fact, I wish I was conducting the live drive at Madikwe, where it looks lovely and sunny and barely any clouds in the sky. But at this time of the year, that could change in a heartbeat. We were also shocked this morning, the team at Juma, that we woke up to rain. We were like, what on earth is going on? And we have just dropped the ambient sound once again. Just there seems to be some ongoing construction. They have not let up. I just had a little chuckle. I quickly jumped onto the YouTube chat, and I see Wally, you giving Mel a bit of grief about her camera parking. Wally, wouldn't it be funny if I got to take over the cameras for a day? It would be a disaster. We'd never actually see anything. We'd just zoom from one end of the screen to the other. And because I can't do anything subtly or gently, so, and I know that with the controls, it's like minute adjustments, it would be a disaster. I think that's why they won't let me control the cameras. I'm convinced. But if you see me play PlayStation, maybe I'll be good at it. I don't know. But I'd need a PlayStation controller or Xbox controller. Oh, here's an interesting question. Grant, would a scorpion sting an elephant? Maybe. I don't know if an elephant would notice a sting from a scorpion. I suppose it depends where it is. If a scorpion managed to fall on top of an elephant's head and sting it behind the ear, I reckon it would feel that. But the skin on the rest of their body, especially around, their feet, where you're more likely, or even on the sides of their body, maybe it's a scorpion that lives under the bark of trees. Were to sting an elephant, I don't think that it would penetrate through that skin. But an interesting question nonetheless. If you were watching the Sunset Safari yesterday, Eric and Amakala actually had a beetle on an elephant, and it was so cool. I think Eric might have said it was a blister beetle, but I hadn't looked. It's one of the longhorn species. I did identify it. However, I don't think that it's the correct species. I think it's actually a different version, or a subspecies of the one that I found, because that one says it doesn't really occur in the Eastern Cape. But unfortunately, our field guides for example, of insects is so limited, and it only gives you a couple of options. For example, the amount of dung beetle species that we have, there's probably only maybe 15, if even that, featured in this arthropod book. So you kind of get where I'm going with that. But that was such a great thing to see, and we've seen some crazy. We say crazy, but it's inevitable that this will happen. It's just being there at the right place at the right time to capture the moment. Remember all those years ago, for the long time viewers, it must have been 2017. Evia, who is a freelance naturalist, I actually used to work with him at Sabi Sabi. He had a Birmingham male lion, and he was watching the pride, and he noticed a little tiny chameleon on its mane. And I mean, you think about it, they walk through the vegetation, they brush through the grass. Of course, they're going to pick up all sorts of things. So I thoroughly enjoyed the moment, and I was sitting there kicking myself yesterday, going, "Oh my goodness, why can't I have a sighting like that?" Two of my favorite things, bugs and elephants. Ah, I would have been in my element. Get it? Da-dum, tsh. Okay, I'm going to sit quietly for the moment while Mel finds us something to look at. Oh, goodness. A rare sighting of an elephant feeding at Jamala Waterhole. It's quite funny. Hey, we never really focus on them feeding because we just become so besotted by the behaviors around the water, splashing themselves, covering their bodies with mud, the chaos, the drama that always ensues when you have so many elephants in one vicinity. So it's nice to actually see that the elephants do eat here. Of just joking, of course, they eat in this area, but you know what I mean. Munching away on something. I don't know if it's eating grass or if it's feasting upon a prickly plant of some sort.
We all know the struggle of finding the perfect gift. But what if you could give them an unforgettable experience? Something truly extraordinary. Introducing Nature Eye. Fly a real drone remotely at iconic locations, witnessing the beauty of nature like never before. Sign up to be an explorer and you could win one of these experiences yourself. Visit natureeye.com today.
It's so lovely and green every single day. This carpet just seems to get more and more. And if I was a leopard, I'd probably be in that fig tree. Oh, now I can see what it is. It's a fig tree. I haven't actually, not once have I zoomed in close on it. So thank you, Mel, for doing that. That is beautiful. It's so pretty. Where is a leopard now draped across those branches? Not even baboons is sitting in this beautiful tree. I'm actually trying to figure out what fig tree it is. I'm wondering if it's maybe a strangler fig. A sycamore fig has a sort of lighter color to it on the base. I'm going to go with that's maybe a strangler fig. I stand to be corrected though, but it looks like it's engulfed something else. It feels like it's such an unusual spot to have a fig tree, right? But not really, because those seeds could have been brought in by monkeys, by the baboons, by birds, or even squirrels. Probably not the giraffe that's standing off to the left, though. This is a different view. This is a first for me. And quite a prominent game path that you can see coming past this tree, heading straight in the direction of water. And that's something always important to remember. If you find yourself lost in the bush somewhere and you need to get to civilization, I'd try and head and find water first. So follow the biggest and the most prominent pathways, but be very careful because they are being walked on regularly, and that's why they look the way that they do. But they more than likely are not going to take you to water. Now the wind is starting to pick up. You can see how the leaves are just blowing around quite a bit. But as you know, it's now 1 o'clock. It's time for the AfriCam cameras to join us. What wonderful things we're going to see. We're going to find out soon.